Hi, Dr. Saurabh. Welcome back to Book My Therapy. How are you?
I'm good, and thank you for inviting me again. It's good to be back after another meaningful conversation we had last time. So, look forward to another meaningful conversation again.
It's a pleasure to have you on board. Thank you. In continuation with the podcast, I have a few questions for you. The first
Sure.
one is related to patriarchy and when it comes to men's mental health. So, how does patriarchy impact men's mental health, and what are some strategies that can be employed to empower men to navigate and challenge the societal norms, expectations associated with it?
Before I start, I'll just introduce myself again. My name is Saurabh Patil. I'm a SPR specialist. So, I use SPR, stop, pause, and restart tool to help men channelize their anger. So basically, I'm a men's coach, help them transform, become more resilient, become regulated. And I'm also a speaker and a restaurateur. So, yeah, coming back to your question. So, since ages, patriarchy has been playing a key role in, defining the roles for men. Unfortunately, the roles that patriarchy has been defining has been quite intense, and that is why a lot of men are you know these days not able to cope up with the expectations. There are societal pressures. There are a lot of key expectations from people around them. So there is a lot of intense pressure on men, the emotional doldrums they go through. So basically, if you must have heard the terms like man up, be a man, you're a man. So all these terms have come since ages patriarchy, because it's always been told that as a man you're tough. You cannot say that you are facing some vulnerability. You're vulnerable. You're having emotional doldrums, or you're in an emotional wreck because you're supposed to be tough. Because you're supposed to be the breadwinner in today's age. The both the genders are equal breadwinners, but in those days there were women, there were men breadwinners. So they're put up in a pedestal where there are too many expectations, and this actually puts a pressure on their shoulders and puts them down. So all these things definitely do impact, the pressure to conform to the societal norms. You limiting your emotional expressions. As I said, you have to man up, you have to suck it up because you're a man. You cannot be expressing your vulnerability because it will make you weak. Then because of all these things, in case a man expresses, or in case a man experiences, sorry, stress and burnout, uh, of course any man experiences stress and burnout, but then admitting to that and showing your struggles is again a sign of weakness. Then there is relationship strain. All these things, definitely puts a man in a difficult spot, and not only makes it difficult for him but also for the people around. But then there are ways you can, in today's world where the gender roles are being shared. A lot of times men do share responsibilities in the house. There are ways where men can cope up. There are ways that men can challenge the patriarchy and check their mental well-being and become more regulated. So the first thing to do that would be have self-awareness. It's important for a man to understand what is affecting him, what are the influences around him that are affecting his perspectives, his choices. Second most important is open communication. Like I said, men don't express thinking that they will be judged, they will be considered weak, so they don't communicate openly. So it's important to have honest and open communications in relationships, in your everyday life, regarding your emotional status, your concerns, everything. Then therapy, counseling is there. You see, in today's world we do have therapists, we have counselors, we have coaches who definitely take sessions. So it's important that some men do talk to them, or uh, even if you're not willing to talk to a therapist or coaches, at least went out in front of someone who is very close to you, but went out unfiltered. Whenever we try to went out, we have the fear of judgment that this person define an opinion about me as a man. So don't do that. Make sure that you are venting out unfiltered. It will make you feel light. Then have awareness. See, there are so many closed groups where men talk to each other men with similar interest, where men are more matured, have come out of their uh, emotional doldrums or emotional roller coaster rides. So these kind of closed groups will help these kind of men to definitely went out. So these are the measures you can use to challenge the patriarchy and take care of your mental well-being. Yeah.
Interesting. So would that also be something to consider or think about when in terms of relationships, or irrespective of the stage they are in, if even if it is dating, about to get married, or about to get separated?
So the other day I was talking to one of my fellow coach who is also a men's coach, but he's probably dealing into relationships in that is marriage relationships. So the most interesting point he told me is that most men come to him for coaching or session when um, they get a divorce notice. So obviously when you get a divorce notice, it's obvious that things have already aggravated to certain level. Things have actually exploded, out of control. So the most surprising part is men have not done anything, or men are not able to do anything, or men didn't do anything about their issues in a relationship till the time, especially married men, till the time they have received a divorce notice. So that is the time they wake up. But unfortunately, you know of course some relationships do amend, some divorces do amend, but most of them, for most of the cases, it's already late. So when a man wakes up to a divorce notice, it's definitely uh, an alarm clock, but then definitely it's late. I mean, you had your time to try to do something, but then everything is taken for granted. So when you talk about dating, when you talk about relationship, it's very important that both the genders understand what they are looking for. See, there are certain societal expectations that about people in a relationship, and so societal expectations or peer pressure definitely influences your choice, be it man or woman. It definitely influences your choice on what you should be expecting from a relationship or in a dating landscape. But the most important thing, as I said before, is again self awareness. You should know what you are looking for in a relationship as a man. Are you looking to receive something in a relationship, or also ready to give? See, it's a two-way process. You as a man cannot expect to be in a relationship to only receive. You have to also give it in the relationship. Again, communication is most of the key thing. If you hear any coach, if you ask any coach, mentor, therapist, the most important and key thing in any relationship, be it dating, be it marriage, be it any kind of a family relationship, it's communication. The more you communicate in a healthy way, the more healthier the relationship is. You are able to understand expectations, feelings, you are able to understand the concerns, you are able to face them, deal with them. But close communications or no type of communication definitely creates a lot of misunderstandings, and definitely piles up a lot of judgment, or wrong expectations or perspectives. Another thing is assumptions. Do not assume things in any relationship. Always challenge assumptions. What it means to be a man, what kind of a person are you, what is your role as a man in a relationship? Definitely do challenge them. Have or encourage enough emotional intelligence. We see lot of stir about emotional intelligence these days in leadership, be in relationship, with women empowerment, with men's mental health. Emotional intelligence is the key, and it's going to you know be utmost important even in the future. Always emphasize on the importance of understanding and expressing your emotions in healthy ways. Set boundaries. Lot of times in a relationship, uh, women do cross boundaries. Even men cross a lot of boundaries. We all have our own boundaries. We all have our own healthy space. Make sure as a man you respect the boundaries of your partner. Make sure that your partner respects your boundary. The moment you stop respecting each other's boundaries, the moment you stop mutually respecting each other's uh, zone, that is when the chaos starts, and that is when the disagreement start. That is when the each I mean, you both partners are uncomfortable. The moment you respect your boundaries, the moment you understand each other, that is when each partner is comfortable and they know what to expect in a relationship. Stereotypes are a major societal pressures and expectations in a relationship. Please challenge them or do not pay heed. Participate equally. You know, with lot of societal expectations, peer pressures, patriarchy, looking around and being influenced by people around you, other relationships, we end up, defining the roles in a relationship instead of participating equally. See, we are in an era where today both the genders are career oriented, both the genders are successfully growing in a career. As a man, it's important to share responsibilities and decisions equally in a relationship. It may be anything. It may be your daily chores. It may be child rearing. It may be emotional support. It may be collaborative decision making. It could be anything. Do that. Try to bring up a change. Do practice self care. People think self care is mostly like being a selfish. It's not selfish. You are practicing self care. You are taking care of your health, your physical health, your emotional health. It's good. It definitely makes you happy. It definitely impacts your happiness. It definitely makes you feel good. It definitely makes you confident about yourself, your thought process. It's very important to practice self care. And definitely, the last and the most important thing, do celebrate your differences. Embrace, see, every person is unique. We all have our own strengths, qualities, weaknesses. Do not criticize, do not aggravate the differences. Always celebrate the differences. We all have conflicts of opinion. We all have different opinions. Do recognize it, do respect it, and do handle them with proper maturity.
Wow, well said. These are some of the things, that I've never thought about, but it's really insightful. Thank you for sharing. So it is really interesting how you emphasized on, self-reflection and what changes can a man make in themselves. So on that note, what advice would you give to men who are married and or have children to address their mental health?
Okay, when we talk about dating, it's more about communication. That's what I mentioned, being aware what you are expecting from a relationship. When you're in a married life, it's not that different, but it's uh, it's more of complicated, not that much complicated. So basically, as I said, men do look for relationship to receive a lot of times. Men have been known to solve problems and fix things, that is for sure, but men definitely look for a lot of receiving in a relationship. So instead of that, you should also be giving. So it's a two-way process, as I said. A relationship is a two-way process, so you should definitely be giving. And uh, see, when a man is in a relationship, especially married, he looks to settle down, looks to have a family, start a family. But the relationship can become imbalanced if a person continuously is either receiving or is either giving. It has to be a balance between the two. That should be the point. See, when I was going through a lot of resources, when I was going through a lot of cases, I understood. We say a man has to give safety and security to a woman, but unfortunately this part is definitely misunderstood in a wrong way. A man, when we say a woman needs safety and security, man, it's not because the man has to protect her from everything. A woman is looking for some safe environment with a man where she can grow, where she can be herself. And that is the kind of safe environment a man can provide. A man has to see, a man has to understand what a woman is actually looking. The way I would put it is about the differences. Don't criticize the differences, challenge the differences, and handle it with right maturity. A man in a relationship should be looking more for a freedom where, a space where the man can grow himself. A man can respect a woman. See, we end up in a relationship as a man and a woman. We get married in order to start a family. But the most key element in a marriage is about communication. Communication can be a form of influence. As I said, if there's no communication, it leads to misunderstandings. If there is a communication, it will help you to understand each other. More importantly, okay, let me put it this way. There are few elements in a communication in a relationship, especially in a married couple. The right message has to be delivered in the right form. If there is a lot of sugar coating, if there is a lot of uh, incorrect message is delivered to the other person, it definitely can lead to understand. The medium in a married relationship, every couple has to communicate face to face. You are living with the person. We see technology is being very useful for all of us. We have phone, we have text, we have emails, we have WhatsApps, we have video calls. But then we are the attention span is very less for the people these days, especially married couples. So instead of communicating using technologies, try to, of course, I mean, I'm not talking about couples who are uh, having a long distance relationship, married couples. But if you're with your partner, sit down, take a pause in life, try to ask each other what is happening, try to communicate face to face, because the energy that's going to be exchanged is going to be much more impactful. In a relationship, there is always a we. The most, the most, or the biggest problem that couples end up doing is think about I. Okay, I did this, you did that, I did this. In a relationship, because you are married, it's a team. You and your wife are a team. So it's always a we. If you see any unit in any army, if you see any sports team, if you see any team in any office projects, it's always a team that works together, and that is how they achieve the goal successfully. So if you're married, you're a team. So it's always about we, what we should be doing, what have we done, what have we got wrong, what we'll be doing right. The moment you step from we to me or I, it's done. You're fighting each other. And the most important thing when you are with your wife, never ever, the point about a fight is not to correct your fight or not to win over who is right or who is wrong. The point in a fight is how to win the situation. When you're in a conflict with your spouse, it's all about winning the situation, not winning over the person. The moment you realize it, you will know the actual issue and you will be able to have a healthy relationship and healthy problem solving environment. And timing. We all know the most important thing, is time that we are running away from. Always make sure that you have time for everything. You communicate at the right time in the right way. That is the thing. Now, when you talk about kids, we teach a lot to our kids. I'm a married man. I have two daughters. We teach a lot to our kids. But the most important thing to notice is that the amount of understanding of the amount of learnings kids do by observing you as your father, as a mother, is much more than what they learn with with something that you teach them. Kids are always observing you, even if you're not noticing them. So always be mindful of the way you are as a father, as a mother. If we talk about men as a father, be there. See, there are a lot of cases where kids, be it girl, be it boy, especially boys, have had who are unhealed or who are definitely broken because they had an absence of father. Always be there for your kids because you teach them a lot, and make sure that you show love to your wife in front of your kids as a man. Kids want to see that, yes, my father and my mother are having a healthy relationship. So it's important that you show love to your wife in front of your kids so they understand the importance of relationship and the basis of a relationship. I know, I mean, all over the world, you be it any country, including India these days, there's been a lot of rise in divorce cases. And the kids who are, fall victim to this kind of a relationship have, uh, you know, are brought up, they try to bring up their kids in the right way, but they definitely have a broken emotional status. They definitely have a stained emotional status because they've seen the relationship break. The understanding they have of a relationship is different. So it's very important that the couple has a very good relationship because the kids learn from that. They will be observing. Trust me, my daughters keep observing me and my wife the way we interact with each other. So we are very mindful about it, how we interact in front of them, even if we have a conflict of opinion. And last but not the least, goals. Setting goals is very important. As I said, you and your wife are a team. Life is your game, and you and your wife are going to play the game for the whole life. You and your wife are a team. Try to set up goals. Try to have long term, short term goals in a relationship, as a married couple, as parents. And the moment you are able to achieve each goal one by one, you are definitely growing, maturing as a couple in a healthy way.